Hello and welcome, I'm Andy Richmond and this is the Big Match Preview brought to you by NFL Insight, and this week we're taking a look at the Eagles and Raiders clash. We'll cover some of the betting markets, reflect on previous games between the two teams and how they've started the season, and then most importantly take a look at some of those tactical elements within the game which could well decide this clash, before we round out the preview with a small sample of our live match trading statistics which form the basis of a lot of our trading decisions and strategies on Sunday night, when we'll be trading this game live through to the early hours. Now, first of all, we can take a look at how the odds on this contest are being assessed and compare them to the NFL Insight Master Tissue price, which we do for each and every NFL game that we trade. We can see there's not a lot of difference between the two lines there. The Eagles are being assessed at about 2.18. We'd make them a little bit shorter, so there's a little bit of value in that Eagles price. You can also see we've got the handicap markets there. That Eagles market, you can actually get a little bit bigger on that. You can get around +3, and I think that's quite a generous start compared to what we think they should be getting, which is just about a half a point. You can also see we've got prices there, or percentage options, for the first points to be scored in the game and how they will be scored. And of course you can compare those percentages with what's on offer in the marketplace. All of those prices are available via our trading sheet, so you can compare a real price based on hundreds of similar games with what you're being offered in the marketplace. In effect, your own tissue in your own hands, and they should prove incredibly useful if you are betting or trading on the game. Now, we've started using Matchbook for our pre-match trading prices and assessments, and we'd urge you to give them a try. They're a value alternative to the fixed odds firms and those exchanges at Betfair and BetDAQ. They've got good liquidity available and cover the NFL fully with a large range of markets. Let's see how they shape up on this game, or how their markets are shaping up on the game. And again, the Eagles there, 2.21 on that money line. Again, if you compare that back, if you think back to our assessment of the game, that's a little bit long. There's a little bit of juice, a little bit of value in that Eagles price. The handicap, on the handicap line, well, there's just a +1 that the Eagles are getting there. 2.15 probably needs 3 points to bring them closer together. People think that the Raiders have the upper hand in this. Personally, I think that 3 points for the Eagles is probably quite good value. Now the points line, 45.5 this is set. It's quite a tricky under and over. Defensively, both sides have been doing well lately. Offensively, not so well. You would think this might be quite an attritional game, and that's led to the unders being around 1.88 there. That could be a little bit of an overreaction. I'd make the two prices a little bit nearer each other. Now, let's reflect on how these two sides have gone in the past. They've had 11 meetings since 1971. Of course, this is a inter-conference rivalry, AFC versus NFC, so they don't get to meet too often. And the Raiders lead the series 6-5. Raiders have won the last 2 meetings at home and 3 of the last 4 contests in total. Now, how's the season been going? Well, it's been one of inconsistency for both sides. The Eagles are 3-5. They opened up with a victory before 3 straight defeats, back-to-back wins, but the offence in those last 2 defeats has only scored 10 points, something I'll touch on in a minute. The Raiders, they're 3-4. They're fighting back from starting 1-3. They get victories in their last 3 games. And they survived a late comeback from the Steelers on Sunday after leading 21-3, just squeezing home in the end. Now, I said at the top of the show we're going to take a look at some of the tactical elements within the game. So let's have a look at some of these. Now, Chip Kelly, I wanted to talk about Chip Kelly first. He's doing a fairly nice job, the first season head coach with the Eagles. But in the loss to the Giants, I just thought he was very, very poor. The play calling was poor. There was some questionable game management, and his decisions to go for it on 4th down just really don't cut it for me. One of the things I thought a lot about him is becoming so predictable with his formations. 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 running back. 81% of the time he's running snaps out of that formation. Very, very predictable. Chip Kelly needs to step his game up a little bit. I never thought Eagles fans would think there was another head coach who was so poor with his time management after he followed on from Andy Reid. But that's another thing that Chip Kelly needs to figure to do, to get the clock on his side. So clock management is poor, being predictable, poor, and again, is also going for it on fourth down. Very, very poor. Chip Kelly needs to step his game up this week if the Eagles are to have a chance. Now, he has been hampered by woes at quarterback, so who are we going to get under centre this week? Well, it's going to be Nick Foles. Second-year passer was unavailable last week after he suffered a concussion against Dallas, and he's now cleared the NFL protocol so he can play. Now, he's going to have to really step up his game, but what you do need is him to play a more up-tempo offense. They've not scored a TD for 2 games now. That makes it that's 2 games in a row the Eagles offense has failed to score a touchdown. Vic, Foles, Barkley under centre, doesn't matter, 2 games, 0 touchdowns. That offensive production, so that we've had the quarterback woes, now we need more offensive production, because even the 3 points they got against Dallas, that was largely a result of an interception by the defence that gave the Eagles the ball in enemy territory. So, it's the same. This is the same offense that was averaging 27.7 points per game and had racked up 425 yards of total offense every week through the first 6 weeks, and now they look completely different. The instability at quarterback hasn't helped, but other teams with similar issues managed to at least sniff the end zone now and again. Defensively, this has kept them in it. They're playing well. They managed to keep New York out the end zone for a full 60 minutes on Sunday, despite the offense punting the ball away 6 times, turning it over 3, and losing possession on downs twice more. That's those 4th downs I was talking to you about that Chip Kelly called very, very strange. And that comes off a strong game against a very good Dallas offense as well. But it's difficult to hold teams to 17 points, which they did against Dallas, even with a good offense. But this defense has been put back on the field time and time again by the offensive production breaking down. Philadelphia, that hasn't been the Eagles very often this season when they've broken down. Philadelphia's defense has only allowed 2 opposing offenses to score more than 21 points in a game. With a record like that, you'd think they'd be better than 3 and 5. But that offensive production and offense in total has been non-existent far too often of late. Now, we come back to one of the best players they've got on the team, LeSean McCoy. Well, he started the first quarter of the season like a bat out of hell. And then the results lately have just been, well, to put it frankly, poor. A part of that can be attributed to the poor play calling and an over-reliance on a very predictable option package that doesn't seem to offer an option at the moment. I'd rather we just run LeSean McCoy in a proper, almost normal running back style. Elite players figure out a way to get things done. McCoy has proven to be elite running back, and with the quarterback situation, well, we're going to get Nick Foles in. What will happen this week? The Eagles need a heavy dose of McCoy. It'll be tough on a Raiders defence that can stop the run, but they needs to use McCoy to take the pressure off the second-year quarterback. If we see the McCoy that we saw in the first 4 weeks of the season, then the Eagles will have a chance in this game. Let's flip things over, and I must confess, we must talk about the quarterback for the Raiders first, the rookie Terrell Pryor. Now, it's like watching an early season Michael Vick watching this guy, only they seem to have supersized him. He's got great athleticism, and he's probably at his best when things break down and he can improvise. And he probably shows just enough with his arm within a structured offense to be dangerous. But he's missed a lot of throws of late, and it's his decision making you've got to start to question. And can he really develop within a structured offense? That's what Pryor needs to start doing. We're still early in his career, so there's no sense in labelling what he can and can't do going forward. But what he will need to do is to improve within a structured offense to succeed long term. Now, we must talk about this stalling offense, because the second time this season the Raiders built a lead in front of their home fans, and then it all fell apart and the fans ended up sweating it out. They jumped out to a 21-3 against the against the Steelers. They blew a 14-point advantage against the Redskins. That was 4 weeks ago, and you really have got to start wondering whether they can actually run the clock out. The second half was particularly poor. They managed 1 first down and 35 yards after half time. If you're trading this game and the Raiders do go a short price, that's got to start setting a thought in your head. Can you trust them at the short prices? They will be trading in running. Just hold that thought. Now, Darren McFadden. The Raiders aren't going to win by throwing the ball. That's quite obvious. And Pryor has had a lot of success running running out of a read option offence. But what he needs to do is know when to give the ball to Darren McFadden. Oakland coach Dennis Allen was critical of Pryor's performance against Pittsburgh last week and pointed out there were a handful of instances when the quarterback incorrectly kept the ball rather than giving it to McFadden while running the read option. Thankfully, it probably doesn't matter who runs the ball. The bottom line is, if Oakland can't run and Pryor is forced to win the game by using his arm, it could be a very, very long afternoon. So Darren McFadden, LeSean McCoy, the two running backs are going to be very key within this game. Now, Chip Kelly's offence is predicated on the quarterback getting rid of the ball quickly, that up-tempo offence I was talking about. The Raiders have to counter that by loading up the pass rush and trying to knock Foles around as much as possible. Nothing rattles a young quarterback more than taking a few shots early in the game in a hostile road environment like the one the Eagles will face in Oakland. Oakland's ability to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in Week 8 was almost strictly because the defence was able to get to quarterback Ben Roethlisberger early and often. Now, Philadelphia grade much lower than Pittsburgh do in pass protection, according to Pro Football Focus. Look for the Raiders to try and get to Foles early in the first quarter with frequent blitzing. The Raiders did it with success against Kansas City and Pittsburgh, both of which have better offensive lines and more experienced quarterbacks than the Eagles do. So they have to have pressure. Now, Oakland's struggles on offence in the second half against the Steelers meant a busy day for Marquette King, and the second-year punter held up well. He punted 8 times, a 46.5-yard average that included a booming full 58-yarder that pinned the Steelers right back on their own side of the field in the second half. King also landed a couple of punts inside the 20-yard and had a respectable 38.1-yard average net. King could have a vital part to play in keeping the Eagles at arm's length and making them put together long drives, and he could be a real key battle in the battle for field position. So remember that name, Marquette King. Won't be a name on everyone's lips, but the Raiders punter could be very, very important. Now, I mentioned at the top of the show our exclusive trading stat sheets, and they have a lot of information about how sides have responded in certain situations before and how often they go on to win a game from certain situations. These give you a guideline and a price to compare with what is offer at the bookmakers. Here you can see what the true prices should be in the following situations at half time, and we also take a look by comparing games of a similar nature, how likely situations to happen throughout a game. Now, in our live trading room on Sunday, we have the ability to predict a live tissue price and how likely statistically certain outcomes are to happen. Here you can see that if the game is tied at half-time, Oakland have a 53% chance of going on to win the game, and Philadelphia have a 47% chance, meaning that in that scenario the correct prices would be Philadelphia 2.12 and Oakland 1.89. That's in 100% book to win the game. And we have statistics like that for every situation, time length and margin within the game as it progresses. Vital if you're trading the game. You can also see the chance of either side dashing out to a 10-0 lead and those of a side leading by a certain margin within the game. All of this data gives us a really good idea of the ebbs and flows within a market and how it should be priced at any moment and situation within a game. Now, those statistics are a small taster of the large amount of data that we have available in those sheets, which are exclusive to NFL Insight members and via the live updates that we fire into our live trading room on Sunday night. That makes us able to assess match situation and the odds available at an instant, along with our match reading skills that we have available. Now, these previews that you're watching, they're just a small part of what we do at NFL Insight, and if you like them, well, we'd be pleased if you subscribe to the NFL Insight TV channel via YouTube, where you'll be able to get updated information, all the latest previews. Now, I'll be back soon with further match previews. This is an area we're looking at doing far more in the future, and make sure you also check out our betting focus previews via our website, which is www.betting-insight.com, where we look at all the best betting opportunities on the game once we've taken into account all the tactical factors in this preview. We'd love you to come and get involved with us at NFL Insight for all your NFL previews, statistics, trading views and betting advice. NFL Insight is at the forefront of a new way of looking at and betting on the NFL. I've been Andy Richmond. I hope you enjoy your NFL action this weekend and come and visit us again soon at NFL Insight.